Okay, this is Moshe coming to you from Israel again, the second time for today. And I have a feeling that the reason we were having these disconnects is not sabotage, it's the internet, because I'm getting very few bars on the phone. And I don't understand entirely why this is the case, but I'm using a different phone which should have more bars, although it's not showing me that now. But I used the same headlines and we seem to be working, but nobody's picking up the. Oh, now somebody came in. Um, so it appears that I might just have to get a service call from the internet people because this is a fiber optic and it should be giving me a heck of a lot more bandwidth than this. I even walked over to the modem and I was getting very bad bandwidth. So there's something wrong. I don't. Somebody could be um, picking on me at the internet, not YouTube. I don't know. See, I got 3 thumbs up and only one person here. How could that be? See, something's wrong with YouTube too. But I used the same headline, and nothing's. Nobody's doing anything. So I have a feeling this whole trauma was the internet, and that's fixable. I just need a service call. They probably throttled my internet back. Or maybe the phone was transitioning to the mobile data. I don't know what it was doing. But I'm using a different phone. It looks like it's working. Let me keep a close eye on it. So if I see it cut off, I'll move the phone uh, closer to the door. If I have to, I'll go to another room. But I think we solved it, maybe. I gotta keep watching it. Okay, so what we're gonna talk about is more Trump problems today. Um, he called back his guy. He actually had a negotiator trying to use diplomacy with Venezuela and um, fix the problem. And it didn't fix. So Trump told the guy, his name was Gallant. He told the guy to can it with the negotiations to end it. Now, when that happens, it means that Trump's getting ready to go military on Venezuela. Okay? I expect the initial move is going to be to attack the cartels, but the initial move to attack the cartels is going to be to take out the radar. Take out the radar and the anti aircraft systems that Venezuela has, which are not very modern and shouldn't be that hard to do. Um, I expect he'll use F 35s. And then he might launch big missiles from the ships. I don't know. Now, as I told you, Trump was waiting for October 10th, which is the day that the Nobel Peace Prize people make their decision if they're going to give a peace prize out this year and to who. And Trump has been nominated by a bunch of people and he's hoping to get it. However, it doesn't look strong. Trump said he stopped 7 wars since January 20th, and that's a big mystery as to what wars those are. And the stoppage of these wars has to be a permanent peace plan. So did he stop a war with Yemen and they're going around shutting the Red Sea? How could that be? You know. So it's just one failure after another with this, with Trump here. He can't get it together. Now, the problem you got here is on October 10th, which is about 48 hours from now, Trump has nothing to lose. Now, he might wait till, you see, I don't know if the Nobel Prize people tell the recipient, hey, we're going to announce tomorrow that you won the Nobel Peace Prize. There's a good chance they don't do it until the actual Peace Prize is awarded, which would be Friday. So, Trump might wait till Friday when they announce it to make sure he didn't win it. But he was trying to win it with Gaza, and he's not going to win it with Gaza. I'm going to tell you what's going on with the Gaza peace plan. So Venezuela died, Gaza died, and the Putin situation with Ukraine and Trump is, of course, in very bad shape. I did say that the Tomahawk missile goes about 1,800 miles, and that might have been too much. It might only go 1,500. I'm getting discrepancy. In any event, it goes far enough to create massive damage to Russia's oil refineries. Trump said he wants to hear from Zelensky, the guy who runs Ukraine, as to what specifically he is going to attack with the Tomahawks, because Trump wants the refineries going down so Putin can't sell oil through bricks off the US dollar. Which brings us to an attack on Iran to negate that as well. So I'm going to go take a look at the live stream, make sure everything's good. Live stream, make sure everything's good. It looks like we got sound and picture on this phone. Somebody's speaking truth here. They said Trump and Kamala is the best the U.S. can produce. Well, you see, that's the end of the line for the U.S. because he's right. Would Kamala have been any better than Trump? Probably not. But the thing is, they were all no good. So you're being presented with an alternative of, Dumb and Dumber. Trump is destroying the American economy and hoping that it's going to make a resurgence and he's going to get all kinds of tariff revenue and Uh, he's killing the economy. I do believe he'll come up with a stimulus package, as I told you, probably right before Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving would be, let's take a look at a calendar. I think I could hit the nail on the head when he'll do the stimulus. Thanksgiving is the last Thursday of the month, typically, I believe. So you're looking at the 27th. No, wait a minute. I better look this up. I don't know. Sometimes they could do it different. Let me find out. When is Thanksgiving 2025 in America? Yep, I had it right, the 27th. Okay, so let me look at the calendar again, and we could pretty much predict when the stimulus package is going to come to the people. I don't think it'll be hard. So the 27th is the last Thursday of the month, and I think he'll start distributing the stimulus packages at around Monday the 24th. And that's when I think he'll do it. And it'll go to, I don't know, everybody, but I mean, it's probably going to go to everybody who filed a tax return in the last year or so, and all the Social Security recipients, disability recipients, maybe veteran disability recipients, and they're talking $1,000 to $2,000 a person. I think Trump will probably push it as close to 2,000 as he can. Now, what is Trump after? What Trump is trying to do here is not complicated. He wants the people to have a Christmas and possibly a Thanksgiving. So, in other words, what does it cost to go out and buy yourself a turkey today? Um, uh, let's find out. Hang on. What is the current price per pound for a turkey as used in Thanksgiving in America? An average price would be fine. Let artificial intelligence do it. For things like this, it's quite accurate usually. For your average Thanksgiving turkey without the accoutrements, just the turkey, about $25. It's $1.60 a pound. Now, I think it'll probably be a little bit higher as we progress. But so if he gets it to them before Thanksgiving, they'll have money to make sure they can buy that turkey. When you look at all the other now, if you got a big family and you want to invite family, it's not 25. It's going to be two of those, or one monster turkey. It'll be $50. Okay, and for a lot of people, that's a lot of money. But that's just the bird. You got to make gravy. You got to have baked potatoes. You want carrots. You want onions. You want salad. You want bread. So if it's $25, put another $25 in. You want to give them some ice cream for dessert, perhaps. So you're talking about, probably $50. Now, the people are likely not to run around and burn that money if he gives it to them just before Thanksgiving. You want to start cooking not Thursday, Wednesday for Thanksgiving. I remember years ago we did real Thanksgiving things. You got to cook the day before. You got to get a lot of work done. It's a real mess because you're cooking on Wednesday and Thursday and serving the food Thursday and then clearing the table and then Friday, you're cleaning up still. It's a monster amount of work. But what happens on Friday the 28th? That's called Black Friday. It's not a religious holiday. It's the day that the stores break out their sales. You know, they'll sell a Nintendo or a PlayStation for, 65% off, but they'll only sell 50 or 100 of them. These are lost leaders to bring the mobs in. And they'll have like 100 different things they'll sell at lost leaders, and people storm in and want to grab one of these things, at the low price. So, they're not going to put up, 3,500 Nintendos at break even. They'll put 50 or 100 up or something. So this goes on all over the country. So people want to get the sales to buy the Christmas gifts, and they give the stuff away if you're lucky enough. But it's a very, very big shopping weekend. Okay, and that's the weekend when you put your tree up. So they need money to buy the tree. I would let's see what an average Christmas tree is going to cost. Estimate the average cost. Try that again. Estimate average cost of a Christmas tree in America this Christmas season. No, I'm not advocating Thanksgiving.
Oh, my bad. That was a weird jump.
This idiot lost it. Estimate price of Christmas trees in America this Christmas season. It jumped. I think I probably hit the wrong thing. There was an iPad error. It's about $80 to $100 plus the decorations, which is probably $15. So let's just say it's going to cost a good $100. So with your Thanksgiving turkey and stuff and your tree, you're going to be at least $150. So Thanksgiving is Thanksgiving, and it's not Christmas. We all know that, but it's a lead up. So I believe Trump is not going to want to have the people call, pizza for Thanksgiving and have, order $16 for two junky cheap pizzas. And, he wants the people to have a Thanksgiving dinner, right? And he wants the people to have a tree for Christmas. Because he's a pagan, that's important. They're his holidays, not our holidays. And calm the people down. So I do believe he's saving the stimulus for that. If he gave the stimulus out when people were talking about it heavily, which was like July, August, the people would have blown it. They would go take a trip to Disney or something like that, and then Thanksgiving or Christmas they'd be broke. So he wants them to have the money. So they're going to blow some money on Thanksgiving. That's what the government and Trump want. Then they're going to blow money on Christmas presents and Christmas trees. That's what the government wants. And they'll have money for a Christmas dinner. They'll eat their ham or turkey, or I guess those are the two big things people traditionally eat on Christmas. I don't know why you couldn't eat, a ribeye steak and a baked potato with a Caesar salad, but anyway, And it'll allow the people to buy booze for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and it'll give the people a state of calmness. Wow, I can get my kids Christmas presents. I can't buy my daughter a 50-inch flat screen TV, but I could get her a 26-inch. You know, I can't get her, a big computer, but I could get her an iPad Mini. You know, something will happen. You know, they'll be able to do some present buying. Remember, if it's a man and a wife, they could get between $2,000 and $4,000. That's a big spread. Now we don't know what the stimulus package is going to be. If Trump can squeeze it, he'd probably give the people 25 or 3,000 a person. Then the people are going to go out and they're going to be in a delusion, and they're going to have a real big Christmas. You know, they're going to get a tree for $130, a big honking tree, you know, and they're going to decorate the daylights out of it. And then they're going to have a heck of a big meal for Thanksgiving, you know, with the booze. And you know, they buy nicer presents and stuff like that. You know, he doesn't want to give them enough money they can go take a cruise on Christmas or go to Disney World. He doesn't want them not working. The rich elite want you working because you work to get by, and that's 99% of America. 99.8% of America are working to get by, and they just run around what people think. You know, they enjoy life. They think they enjoy life. I don't know how much they actually do, but they don't get off on saying, well, I'll be the president of my company. That's not for the elite. The elite got 15 companies. They can't be president and work at all of them. So they try to do a good job and learn how to hire the presidents. And the presidents could make 7, 10, 12, 15 million a year with all their packages and stock options and bonuses. They could make a million a month or more. That's not so abnormal for them anymore. That's not so much money these days, but they do okay with that. But these people sit on multiple board of directors. So what they do is they have their companies do business with each other. If they're in a company that leases trucks and they have another company that delivers food, they're going to lease the trucks from their other company, and you could do that legally. And that's the kind of thing they do. Okay. Um, so the elite just get involved in doing, their social stuff and whatever. They're not like us. Okay. And if they're not Satan bots, they don't stay the elite very long, do they? No. Okie dokie, let's go uh, back in here for a minute in the live stream. And I got to get a post up real quick, and we're going to get up with the details for what's going on with Trump and Gaza and Venezuela. And this thing would, listen, forget that Tomahawks are nuke capable and Trump is telling Ukraine to nuke, right? Forget the nuke stuff. They're devastating because they're going to go 1,500 miles and they're going to hit a lot of targets in Russia that Putin can't defend against. And they're going to take them out, and Putin's going to suffer. And Putin's got to make a move. Okay, Putin could come to the bargaining table. Putin could come to the war room and attack. Or Putin could do nothing and just hope for the best. Or Putin could get China and Belarus and North Korea and Iran all riled up and attack at the same time. Speaking of attacking at the same time, we're going to talk about what the Muslim media is saying about what they think Israel's going to do. The Cornish game hens, we get those occasionally in Israel. We get duck in Israel too. That's kosher food in Israel. The rabbis approve it, but we don't usually buy it. I don't know. The game hens are good, but we just don't see them that often. We don't buy them. duck you can get all the time, I think, but it's rather greasy. We don't enjoy it that much. We're basically lamb and beef and chicken. That's normally our meat. We eat salmon. They have very good salmon here. It's cheap too, so we eat that mostly. We eat other fish, some whitefish, but not often. They pulled a milk shortage on us again. They said that non-Jewish people were milking the cows, so the rabbis had them destroy a massive amount of milk. They did this a month ago. I don't know what they're going on. You know, they don't want these people touching the milk because they don't eat kosher. Ay, ay, ay. I mean, you know, this is getting into a bizarre situation, right? Um, so I guess what they're saying is somebody could have had a ham sandwich and then went, sat down and milked the cow without washing their hands, and they would have spread basically pork. The hand touched pork, and then the hand touched the nipple, and they squeezed the milk out, and it got on. I don't understand it. I really don't. So now we can't get heavy cream. If you can't get milk, you can't get heavy cream. You can't get light cream either. So that's going to be another shortage for a few. It usually runs about 2 weeks. We're getting sick of the rabbis here in Israel, by the way. And we're getting sick of the ultra Orthodox who won't go in the army. We're getting sick and tired of them. And when I say we, I would say 50% of Israel is really sick and tired of the rabbis and the ultra Orthodox and want to get rid of them. They know they're hypocrites. They know they're making this crap up. Okay, they know it's not in the Bible. Not that they follow the Bible. They don't want to listen to the rabbis. The best thing for Israel is they go. They're a curse on Israel, in my opinion, because they teach them to ignore the law and follow the Talmud, which is a book they wrote. Out in California is $75 for a decent tree, not used. Yeah, I heard 80 to 100 when I had artificial intelligence looked it up. So that's pretty consistent. 80 would be the low side, and you're saying 75. That's pretty close. I mean, come on, you know. And I was asking it to project for the Christmas season. Okay, Greta Flotilla was exposed, all recorded on video. One of the people would visit. Yeah, Hamas was involved in that flotilla. There's another flotilla with 9 ships on the way over here from Alexandria, Virginia, Egypt, Alexandria, Egypt. And it was last night 280 kilometers from Gaza, which is 60, 170 miles. They could hit Friday or Saturday. It could even hit Sunday. It depends. I don't know what all 9 ships, what they are. Are they motor boats? Are they sailboats? Are they using both motor and sail? How fast do they go? If they're using sail, what are the wind conditions? I have no idea. So it could be they could come tomorrow night even, or they could come Friday or Saturday or Sunday. I don't know, but they're going to be interdicted. And I think the same thing's going to happen. They're going to politely arrest them. They're going to politely search the boats. They're going to politely tow the boats to Ashdod. They're going to politely take the people that were on the boats to Ashdod. They're going to deport them and throw them out of the country. And I do not think that they're sinking the boats or confiscating the boats. They might be. I need to check. Let's see if we could get something on that real quick. Hold on. Why is this like the way it is? Something's not. Oh, turn that off.
Got
Has Israel confiscated or destroyed the boats that the Greta flotilla came on? It's so much faster than searching, the internet for 2 or 3 hours. Now it went away.
What do you need right now?
I'd like to just disconnect the voice thing altogether. I hate the voice. First of all, you get two different artificial intelligences. When you use the voice, it's disgusting. It tries to create a personal relationship with you. It's a machine, like creating a personal relationship with your toilet or your chair. Okay. Did Israel destroy the boats from the Greta flotilla or confiscate them? Can you answer the question about Israel destroying the boats? Can you answer the question about Israel destroying the boats? I think it's the iPad screwing this up. Well, Israel did not destroy the boats. Okay, what Israel did under the blockade law is they confiscated the boats that Greta's flotilla came on. Now, we don't know if at some point they're going to return the boats or not. They're not talking. They have them in the custody of the IDF in Israel. And they haven't been sunk or destroyed or sold, and we don't know what they're going to do with them. I have a feeling they're going to keep them tied up in this state for a while and then come up with some plan with them. I don't know what they'll do. But if you don't give them the boat back, they can't turn around and come right back again. They just recalled Turkey. I heard something about the turkey. It was hundreds of thousands of turkeys. Yeah. Is China running a Haifa harbor? Yeah, they have a port. They don't run the whole harbor or the whole port. They run some facility with equipment to offload containers from ships, put them on the dock and move them around. That's what they got. That's it. They make no political / military decisions about the port or anything like that. Israel and China are not that aggressively after each other. Okay. China will give some weapons to Iran, we think, but we're unsure. They gave them some planes, very few, and they were not full stealth. They were not fifth generation. They were 4.5 generations. So, a little hard to detect at best, but you can detect them. Israel's radar is crackerjack, top notch. So, did they give Iran aggressive missiles to shoot at Israel? We maybe it happened. We don't know. I don't know. Does Netanyahu and the IDF know? I'm pretty sure they got a darn good idea. I could probably get to the bottom of it, but they might not have released the data. We do sell a lot of Chinese appliances here. And now, due to Trump's 39% tariff on China, Chinese goods are being discounted. It took a while till they came, but they're being discounted nicely. But if you're in America, the discount is not going to do you that much good because it's 39% tax. In Israel, it's an 18% tax that always existed if the item's over $75. So what China frequently does is they put the item in the postal service without any declaration, and they just ship it. And the postal service here from China gets in a day, 43,000 packages or something like that, and they got 20 people working there or something. They can't. They just pass them through. FedEx, UPS, and DHL take it upon themselves to declare the tariff on the package, and they pick the money up. In a lot of cases, before you send it, not all cases, but there, usually is insurance involved with FedEx or UPS, so they're very honest and direct with it. Okay, I got to put a quick post up here, and I mean quick. It's going to be seconds, and then we'll keep going. But let me get this done. I now know what was going on with the so-called attacks on us, and they weren't really attacks. There was a bandwidth issue, which is very correctable. I got to just go after the company and get them to come out here and turn the bandwidth back up. And I go through a service here called TCS, if any of you ever get here, and they're Anglos that speak English, and you buy your internet and your phone service through them, and they're very aggressive at fighting for you. I mean, they're really good at it, so I just let them do the fighting. Okay. I'm going to get this done real quick. There's not much that I got to do. If I talk a whole lot, probably going to make typos. Okay, I believe I'm done. Let me test it, check it, proof it, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it doesn't want to pin up there. It does it. There we go. Good. Okay. Hey, I didn't do our praise yet. Being a Bible-believing site, Old and New Testament, I'm going to do that. There is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 Okay, so Venezuela, Maduro is working with the drug cartels. This is the case in all these Central South American countries that have these drugs, especially Mexico, but all of them. The cartels is the government. What they do is they find people that have a clean record. Maybe they're a lawyer. They come from an elite family. The family has millions and millions of dollars. They're involved with the cartel socially or whatever. And the cartel fronts them, puts the 18 or $30 million up to run them for office, or 50 million, whatever it takes. And they're there to protect the cartel. The Americans know this, but before Trump, they really just put up with it. They didn't do anything about it. So when you're talking now with uh, Venezuela, the Venezuelan gangs went too far in America. They started occupying housing projects and controlling them and collecting the rent that the people had to pay them, not the landlord, and all this sick stuff. So Trump lost his temper. The Mexican gangs didn't take things that far, I don't think. So he sent warships down there, and they blew up and sank 3 or 4 Venezuelan cartel boats shipping drugs. And he had this guy, Trump had a guy negotiating with Maduro, the head of Venezuela, who is, steals elections and stuff like that. Did anybody just think about Joe Biden? But anyway, the the other day, in the last day or two, probably the last day, Trump called the guy or sent him a memo and told the guy to break off negotiations no more. He's finished with Maduro diplomatically, is the message he sent. Next remains the military. And the military has been practicing in Puerto Rico, I believe, doing invasions of Venezuela. There's about 8 warships down there. And there's about 4,000 Expeditionary Force Marines. And now the next phase is Trump is going to begin. And it will undoubtedly be attacking the radar. And he has some radar. He got some from Russia. He's friends with Putin. He probably has S-300 or S-400, which the stealth F-35, F-22, B-1, B-2 can skirt around it. It's no problem. And they'll bomb the sites that the drug cartels use to process various drugs. So they might make speed or ecstasy or LSD or whatever the heck they're selling. What's the popular one? That's the one, the fentanyl. That's the drug that anesthesiologists and medical doctors typically would get addicted to, is fentanyl. Fentanyl has what they refer to as a very short half-life. In other words, oxycodone and morphine have a long half-life. So it means you'll take your morphine and you'll be stoned for, I don't know, 3-4 hours, and then you're going to be goofy for another 8 or 10 or 12 hours. Where fentanyl, you'll be, stoned for maybe 2 hours, and then a half hour after that, you clear up. You drink some juice, water, coffee, and take a shower, and you clear up. So a doctor can take it in between surgeries, and but why would you want to do that? I dread taking that stuff. I haven't. It's terrible. I hate it. I don't. I don't even remember ever having morphine or fentanyl. I don't know, but they. So anyway, who knows? Whatever drugs the jerks are making, they're making and they're selling it in America, and it's $1 billion industry, and they Trump doesn't want this because there are risks to the country because the way these people behave, and Maduro was literally letting people out of psychiatric wards and prisons, and sending them into the United States. He pushed it far. So Trump tried to reason with him, brought the 8 warships down there, flew planes by his coast, and now I also believe he flew drones over Venezuela, but they would be stealthy, and Venezuela probably couldn't pick them up to create target packages, which I'm sure the Pentagon has by now. And they're going to go. So the first will be knock out the radar, then knock out the anti-aircraft systems, just to make sure everything is safe, right? Then they'll start hitting the cartel targets. Is Trump going to try to kill the cartel members? Not directly, I don't think. So I think he's going to try to hit, if they have fields where they're growing opium or cocaine or marijuana, they'll destroy the fields. They'll drop incendiary devices on the fields, or that's easy, napalm or some other thing. And the facilities that they use to process the drugs could be underground, but how far? 15, 20 feet, no problem. Um, so they'll start attacking those. Now, do they have underground facilities 80, 90 feet under the ground? Then it could be the case. In which case, then America would use bunker busters or boots on the ground, Marines, special forces to go down there and, blow the door open, the surface door open, and start throwing satchel charges in like Santa's Christmas sack of toys, and just blow everything up. That's the general idea how they'll do it. Uh, it's Now, what is Maduro going to do if he's going to try to fight back against them? How? He has lousy aircraft, Cold War era. He could try sending the aircraft up, but Trump will probably blow the military airports up with the planes on them. He just wants to make sure. He doesn't want to lose $100 million F-35 for pilot error. Maduro sends 3 or 4 planes after one jet, and they get a visual on the jet, and they chase it, and somebody gets a lucky shot, and they take the jet down. Trump doesn't need that. So he'll probably take the planes out. Bolivia and Colombia are his neighbors, and they're not happy, and they're going to try to help him, but I don't know what they're going to do. Will Trump, after he knocks out the drug cartel stuff, go into Venezuela and overthrow Maduro? Yes and no, I don't know. How can that go? It can go 2 ways. One way is he tells Maduro, do you want to sit down and talk now? And if Maduro says yes, Trump's going to say it's not really a 2-way conversation. We're going to tell you what you need to do to stay in power and stay alive. And Maduro may go for it. And then Trump will basically say, thou shalt not manufacture, grow, or produce drugs. And when I call, you take the call and listen to me, and we'll get along. We can have a fresh start. That's likely what Trump will say. And likely Maduro's not going to listen. So then Trump is going to try to stage enough Marines and special forces to go in there and either catch Maduro and do to him what they did to Saddam Hussein, uh, or there's an order this. If he has Maduro on the run in the jungle someplace and they can't figure out where he is, they just leave him alone and put the guy that I think Maduro stole the election from and put him in jail. I believe there's a guy like that. Take that guy and put him in office or run a new election. In other words, they don't catch Maduro, so what? They put, 3 or 4 thousand soldiers with 25 tanks and, a dozen or so helicopters, and they leave 10 or 20 F-35s down there and maybe 2 warships or 3, and they help the country hold a new election, and they have a guy win the election. Somebody will win the election, which, they'll have 2 or 3 candidates, and they'll all be in Trump's pocket, so Trump doesn't care who wins. And then they'll try to make a go of it without narcotics, and Trump will help them. Now, that's if you want to believe things are going to go the way Trump wants them to go. No. I think we might see intervention from other countries here because they're going to try to stop Trump, because if they let Trump get away with this, it's like if they let Putin get away with Ukraine, he's going to start clipping all over Russia. Well, they don't want Trump doing this either. What exactly is going to happen remains to be seen, guys. But that's probably headed around, Trump will probably start the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, something like that. Okay? He's very concerned about who's going to get the Nobel Prize. And if he doesn't get it, he's probably very swiftly going to go into wars, plural, to send a very strong signal to the people in Norway that they better give him a Nobel Prize next year, or he's going to do the same thing. Every time they turn him down, he's going to start wars. Trump doesn't care how he gets the Nobel Prize. Cheating is fine with a Satan bot. He just wants to get it, like Obama got it. Obama got it for nothing. Obama should have got the Degenerate of the Year award. Him and Big Mike, Okay, or is it she and Big Mike? How about that? Okay, so that's one. Okay, Putin is easy. Tomahawks to Ukraine and then just sit back and wait. That might get Putin to stop running drones into all these NATO countries over there, or it might get him to attack NATO countries, or we don't know what will happen. Putin's verbal response has been, if Trump sends the Tomahawks to Ukraine, he's going to be destroying any chance of Russia and America having any kind of relationship or talks or stuff like that. And I'm sure Trump could care less about that. So I don't see Trump entering the war. I don't see NATO entering the war. If anything, Putin might enter the war against NATO. But it's easier for Putin to just try to sustain the attacks with the Tomahawks, okay? His best move is to try to blow the Tomahawks up once they arrive in Ukraine. I don't think we're going to see that, no. Let's go to Gaza. Gaza failed, okay? Israel is negotiating in Egypt. Qatar is there. Egypt is there, Israel's there, and Hamas is there. Got it? Okay. Kushner and Witkoff are there, but they haven't entered into the negotiations yet. Maybe today, maybe not. Um, Kushner's not one of us. You know, they say he's a Jew. He's a Satan bot. You know, when Kushner was a young guy years ago, his father gave him roughly 250,000 apartments. Okay? So Kushner collects the rent on 250,000 apartments, 250,000 apartments. How do you imagine what that's like every month getting rent from 250,000 apartments? You know, maybe the rent for 1,000 apartments has to go for your overhead, for collecting, processing the rent, and filing the taxes, or something like that. You know, I don't know what you know. I have no idea what that's like. If you guys were collecting rent on 5 apartments, you consider yourself well off. This dweeb collects rent on 250,000 apartments. You know, nuts, right? And that's a person that we're supposed to relate to? Yeah, sure. That's a person Trump could relate to in the world of Satan bots. Okay, so they have not yet talked to Hamas. Qatar is trying to keep them out of it. Where we're at is basically it goes like this. The Hamas has not changed from their original plans or their demands, except perhaps 5 or 10% recently. But I think it's not even any change. I think they're just mocking Trump, and they're trying to buy time. So it's not working because Netanyahu has curtailed the attacks but not stopped them. Because Netanyahu knows that this negotiation was a joke and he just did it to humor Trump. Because Trump wants that Nobel Peace Prize. And if he bagged Hamas and got Hamas into something that looked like it would be a long lasting peace that both sides agreed to, the Norway people that do the Nobel Peace Prize may have given it to Trump. But what was Trump doing? He's going around telling them that if they don't sign the deal, they're going to be dead because Netanyahu is going to kill them. That's extortion or coercion. I mean, you know, when you tell somebody do something or we're going to kill you, that's extortion. It's not blackmail. Blackmail is do something and get, blackmail is you give us money or we'll do something. You know, and the Nobel Peace Prize people don't consider this a valid way of obtaining a good peace plan. Well, Trump's dumber than any of us ever thought he was. So Trump has not yet thrown the towel in because he has a lot of powerful people that are nominating him, but it doesn't look encouraging at all for him to get a Nobel Peace Prize. If you got the Nobel Peace Prize, they'd be giving you 1.1 million US dollars, which would make most of us extremely happy. Trump wouldn't give a hoot about that one way or the other. To make himself look good, he'd probably donate it to some charity. Trump just wants this because he wants to have it as a trophy, you know. Calling himself the president of peace. He's got the wars building up. So what's going to happen with God? Well, there's Gaza saying, well, we're not going to give all the hostages back up front right away on the first day. That was a key non-negotiable red line thing that Trump wanted. You give all the hostages back right away. That's it. And they are not having any part of this. And they don't want to give all the hostages back for a long time. And they want all the prisoners coming out of the Israeli jails. See, they're trying to turn this into a victory. They took a bunch of hostages and they're trying to make it look like they're victorious. They don't have a country anymore. But they're trying to make it look like a victory. It's the stupidest thing you could imagine. Okay, so Israel is never going to agree to that, and I don't believe Trump would agree to it because it's obvious they never intend to give the hostages back, and they're going to keep dragging this on forever. Okay, what else? They want, before any hostages come back, all the Israeli soldiers have to leave Gaza. Every soldier is out of Gaza first. And the Rafah crossing opens. So they can go smuggle missiles back in from Egypt right away. And Egypt's our enemy. Egypt will help them. So perhaps within 2 weeks they could be shooting missiles again at Israel. Probably 6 or 8 weeks, but it could be in 2. They have no intention of disarming. They have no intention of leaving Gaza. They have no intention of other people running Gaza other than them. But they do like the idea of an international conglomeration of states that would come in there and guarantee their protection against Israel, but that would also guarantee they don't attack Israel. And that they seem to like. So there's no agreement with Trump's peace plan whatsoever, and Trump was just barking at the moon day after day, telling people it looks like we're close, the hostages are going to come back this week. According to Hamas, there's no way you're getting any hostages back this week. There's like nothing Israel could do to get them back. This week. They want Israel completely out, and they want all their prisoners back. And then if Israel fulfills all the things they want, no buffer zone, no this, no that, then they'll start giving the hostages back, and he might not give them all back for 5 years. So, Trump is making a monkey out of himself, dancing a dance with these people in Iran and Gaza, because he doesn't really know what he's dealing with. And he's empowering Hamas. He's giving them power and clout. So this thing made a complete mess of what Trump looks like. He looks like an idiot now. On every count that I think you could count on, Trump's failed. Trump's building the Golden Dome for what Trump's going to do is Israel has a laser takedown system. He's going to use I'm sure Israel gave him the rights to build it, or Israel will build them and sell them to him or something like that, and that's what he intends to use. But guys, you have to understand, if he's going to use a Patriot, an Iron Dome, or an Iron Beam laser system, The United States is not the size of Rhode Island like Israel is. Trump would not, he'd need 1,500 of these things just to cover the exterior border, counting Hawaii and Alaska. Just to cover the external borders, you need them by your big cities. What's a big city? A big city is a big city 100,000? Probably not. You probably need them in cities that are 250,000, or 500,000, and you need them on the whole border. And then you need them by airports. How many airports does America have? You know, they probably have 30 international airports or 50. You know, you need to put at least 2 of these up at every airport in case one fails or misses. So you think he's going to have all that stuff in a year? Maybe you'd get it done by 2028. Maybe. You need thousands of these things. You got to get the whole exterior of the country. You could say, oh, we won't get Mexico. That'd be stupid. Oh, we won't get Canada. Well, that'd be stupid also. If you care about, you know, the U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, you'd get them. But they might not care. They may just say, we don't care. Your military bases, your Navy bases, your Air Force bases, your Marine bases, your Army bases need it. Government buildings, important buildings need it. You know, you're probably looking at least 1,500 of these things. Okay. Next, there is an Arab paper that came out and said simultaneously Israel intends to attack Iran, Yemen, Iraq, and Lebanon. That's 4. Rest assured, we're attacking Gaza on top of that. That's 5. We have done that before. Okay? We have. We can do it. Okay? And Trump is probably going to help with Iran. They just transferred yesterday a good amount. I don't have an exact count, but I say at least 12 or 15. I did have a count. There was quite a few. Aerial refueling planes into Saudi Arabia from Qatar. And that would probably mean that the fighter jets that were in Qatar have been transferred into Saudi Arabia because Trump's a little nervous. Qatar is just across the road, well, the Persian Gulf, not the road, from Iran. So maybe it's 110, 140 miles away. That means there's a multitude of missiles that Iran could shoot at Qatar. They could shoot relatively, not very short range missiles, but, you know, kind of medium range missiles and long range missiles could all be used to hit Qatar, plus drones, plus Iran has converted civilian ships. That is one they call a drone aircraft carrier. They actually built a ramp at the deck so the drone goes down and it, you know, it has a curve up and it gets up. So when it leaves the ship, it's maybe 80 or 100 feet over the water. So it could drop a little till it kicks into gear and takes off and climbs. And aircraft carriers for airplanes in general come that way, or they build them with a catapult like America. The catapult is something the other countries haven't mastered or don't want to. You have big steel cables. I think they're steam-powered catapults. They put them on the plane. and the pilot guns the throttle, and they fire the catapult, and throws the plane forward off the deck, off the flight deck, which is level, and it takes off. Usually they have a little bit of a drop. Uh, Pilots generally take off with one hand, well, there would be probably this hand, one hand on the joystick and one hand on the ejection lever, because time is of the essence. So if something goes wrong when they leave the flight deck, like the plane tilts or goes like that, or anything, the engine craps out, or anything coming about weird, the pilot, boom, he pulls that lever and he ejects. And the thing probably throws him 50, 60 feet up in the air, and he has maybe 60 or 80 feet, so he has enough space where the chute could open and break his fall, and he's hitting water, not concrete, so he's probably going to be okay, but we don't know. And a lot of times pilots, when they do eject, they get broken legs and other bones. The G forces are rather strong. I think they get up to 50 Gs. Pretty rough. It's not easy. And so they're not, really fond of it, but they do it. So anyway, they got drone carriers around that they could launch at Qatar. So they could throw 30 drones at Qatar at the same time, right? Then what? Then they launch a few dozen missiles, medium range missiles from land in Iran. So all this stuff is coming into Qatar, and it overwhelms the radar systems, and then the airport starts getting hit. Now, maybe the jet planes are in hangars that are 3 feet of concrete with support, very heavy, strong hangars. And these missiles are not going to be able to easily fly in the door of the hangar. A drone might, but a missile might not, and it'll hit the roof or something. But they're not going to kill the planes. But what they can easily do is hit the runway with 4 or 5 missiles. And now what did they accomplish? Well, the runway is not going to be functional for a day, 2 days, 3 days. They shut it down. So those are some of the reasons why they would move the refueling tankers to Saudi Arabia, because the planes are probably there, and the Saudis got a better grip on anyway, it could damage the jets. There's a reason for it. So when he's in Saudi Arabia, the distance is greater, and the planes are going to be using their afterburners probably some of the time, and the fuel's going to get used up. So he floats the refueling tankers, and the planes could have a drink of fuel over the Persian Gulf or over Qatar or Kuwait or whatever, right? And then go back and hit Iran again. And maybe refuel it again and go back again. It depends what kind of ordnance they got left. Okay? So also, he's going to have to take out Yemen. See, Israel's not going to go to war and fight for Saudi Arabia. If Netanyahu tried that, I think the people would drag him out of his prime minister mansion and throw him in the ocean. They wouldn't want to have anything to do with him if he did that. He doesn't want to do that. I mean, if you think Netanyahu wants to go help Saudi Arabia, he doesn't want to help Saudi Arabia, none of us do. So that's not going to happen. And, Trump's got to do it because Yemen is going to attack Saudi Arabia. They've done it in the past. They've hit the Aramco oil facility 2 times that I remember, and once with 1 missile, the other time with 2 missiles, and it takes the Aramco oil facility out of action for weeks. Now let's take a look at what our oil prices are doing and what our gold and silver prices are doing right now. Well, for gold and silver, I don't want to use AI. Let me go to Kitco and get what I know to be current prices, but I won't give me the highs. But let's take a look. Kitco metals. There we go. Come on. Why is it not open? Oh, it's loading. What's going on? There we go. Okay. Let's take a look. It's interesting, but for some reason they didn't give me gold. I don't know. Oh, it's up here probably. Yeah. Well, gold went over 4,000. Let me get into this. I see that the bid or the ask price for gold is now $4,034. Let's have a hand for gold. Yay! Yay! What a winner! What a winner! All right, okay, silver is 48.76. That's not bad. It's not so great either, but it's coming close to 50. 50 is a big resistance point for silver. And platinum, surprisingly, is not moving. It's at 1661. Platinum is perhaps nice for jewelry, but you don't need to invest in platinum at all. Just stay with gold and silver. Rhodium, which I see no reason to invest in, is almost 7,000 an ounce. See, that's where gold's going to be pretty soon. And palladium, which I don't know what you do with that, is 1378. I would only stay with gold and silver in the strongest way. The Bible says the money in redeemed, restored Israel is going to be gold and silver. I would only go with gold and silver. I would not go with this other stuff. No way. It's just stupid. Okay. Let me hit artificial intelligence on the gold. Just I want to see what. This didn't work right. Let me get it back. Oh, my problem with artificial intelligence is this stupid iPad. It's not. It sounds like Beulah laying the law down to some other dog. Dog probably had the nerve to walk by the fence out on the public street. Beulah doesn't like that. This is my street. You don't walk near it. Okay. Okay, no, the bid in the ask now is up there, but it did hit $4,010.82. This is profound. This is incredible. I'm telling you, I followed gold. I remember like yesterday when it was around 200 an ounce. I remember silver at $4 an ounce. $4,000 is crazy. And as I've told you several times, it ruined the jewelry industry. You just go out and buy a ring. I mean, a little thin wedding band, not so much, but a regular ring. You easily have an ounce of gold in there if you're going to get, 14 karat white or rose or yellow or whatever. You're not going to, it's only, 3/4 or, but still 4,000 an ounce. I mean, just a basic ring with a synthetic man made stone in it is going to cost you, you know, probably a little more than $4,000 with the workmanship and the stone and the setting, and it's crazy. And these were things that would be $400-500 20 years ago. And we're not done. You're just getting warmed up. We haven't seen the oil crisis yet. Wait till Iran tries to close the Persian Gulf. Wait till Iran fires at the oil refineries of the countries in the Middle East. And we already got the Houthis in Yemen shutting the Red Sea. Let's see what. Boy, this thing is such a problem. Okay, let me get in there. Crude, Brent price now, and 24-hour high. Let's see what we get. I don't think we're going to see much of the oil price rise, but let's take a look. The Brent is what they use in Europe. The crude is what's used in America. It's up a little bit. The crude is 65.92, which is about $66, right? Although that's Brent, that didn't go anywhere. The high was $66 in the last day, but it didn't give me the crude. It gave me Brent. Okay. Let's just get the crude price now. No, it's sitting there. It's regular crude is about $61.92, $62. You could say. Not much of a change, and then the Brent crude is almost 66, 65.92. No, hasn't really changed. It's not going up. The gold is. When you see gold behave like this, it's generally means that there's going to be a war. Okay. Now, is that like Bible prophecy that has to come true? Heck no. You could have it without a war. But, I remember recently I was here telling you guys, wow, we broke 3,000. What a big resistance point for gold. It was a lot of trouble to see gold break that because a lot of nations were suppressing it. It would try to go and get down, and try to go, and then finally it got through, it went back, and then finally it held. But this 4,000 just slipped right up there. That's going from 3,000 to 4,000 in a matter of a few months. That's massive. But what this tells me is when we see Iran make a move and Russia make a move and so forth, you're going to be over 5,000, boom, like that. Can you imagine 5,000 for an ounce of gold? Let me brace you. When you go to sell your gold, you're going to have trouble selling it at that price. Let's say 4,000. You go to the pawn shop, the coin broker, the guys that buy and sell the gold in your community, and they're going to be very nervous because gold's not living at 4,000 an ounce. It's just popped up there, and the guy's going to be afraid. He's going to say, "How many people are going to come in here? If this guy wants to sell me 10 ounces, that's $40,000." And I don't know when somebody's going to come in here and buy $40,000 worth of gold. I might have to sit on it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then gold might be down to 3,700, and I lose 300 an ounce. So the guy's going to probably tell you he'll pay 3,800 or something. He's not going to pay you 4,000. That's what you're going to run into. And then when you want to buy the gold, he's going to want to sell it to you. If it's 4,000, he's going to want $4,050 or $4,040. That's all the guy's going to make is 10% or something, 5% even. They don't make that much. So he doesn't want to get stuck, get hurt. So when there's a volatile market, the guy has a problem. If gold stays at between 4,000 and 4,200 for 30 days, he'll feel pretty comfortable giving you the full price. Now, if gold spikes to 5,000 in a week, he's going to be real scared. He'll be glad to sell somebody the gold for 5,000, but he's not going to want to buy it. He's going to want to buy it for 46, 47 or something like that. He's going to be scared. He could get wiped out. If gold goes from 5,000 down to 4,500, and he's got 30 ounces or 50 ounces, it could hurt a guy. They're not super wealthy, these guys, The other thing is this. When it may have already happened, I'm not in America, haven't been for ages, but they can get premiums. In other words, people are going to go to these coin dealers and pawn shops and say, "Hey, I want to buy a few 1-ounce gold rounds. Do you have any?" The guy will say, "Well, I've got 3." And then you say, "Well, what kind of premium do you want on it?" And the guy's going to say, "Well, I want spot plus $150 a coin." And then what do? You got to go try to find your coins somewhere else, and you're not going to get them. The people that have the coins are holding them. The people that have the bars are holding them, They don't want to sell right now. And you don't want to buy paper gold with the stockbroker because you got nothing. I think if things go the way I think they'll go and Iran tries to shut the Persian Gulf with missiles, missile boats, drone boats, naval mines, go-fast boats, you'll see $7,000 to $10,000 on gold. I don't know what $10,000 gold would look like, but you got to ask yourself, who's buying gold at that kind of price level? That's why I've been telling people, silvers, you better move. Gold goes to 5,000 in a crisis. The chances of silver going to $100 or $75 is extremely high. And you get a massive return. Let's say you're buying it at roughly 50, and you sell it at 75, you got, 50% gain. That's like buying silver at 4,000 and selling it at 6,000. You just buy more gold, more silver coins to make up for the volume. It's going to happen. Now, what's to say gold stops at 10,000? Nothing. What if it goes to 20? You know, let's take a look at what experts are predicting. See, if you have the crude oil prices going to $200 a barrel, which is rather conservative estimate with the Persian Gulf and the Red Sea closed, um, your gold's going to go up just based on that. Let me see what it says. It's telling me what gold did. That's not what I'm interested in. Well, let me see. Some people are, well, they're giving me projections of under 4,000, so they're not up to date on this with the AI, or the experts aren't floating predictions out there. We don't know. They don't know. They're not saying anymore. So I don't know how high it can go. Why say it's only going to go to 5 or 10,000? It could go to 25,000. And how would people do that? Well, they would be buying small pieces of gold, but like I'm telling you, ignore the gold, go for the silver. That's going to be way more manageable. Doubling and tripling your money in silver is not going to be that hard. If gold's going to double or triple, silver's going to triple quicker and easier. And of course, the question is, what do? Do you fold out of your precious metals and buy, hold paper money, which is going to eventually all be worthless? What do? Uh, you know, it's an interesting question. Take it on the second Exodus with you. That's what I would suggest. Um, don't know. Let me get in, see what else I have that I didn't tell you, and then Okay. So imagine if in the same day Israel is attacking Iran, Iraq. Why Iraq? Because to attack Iran, Israel has to fly over Iraq. So we got to take out their radar and their missile launchers. So we fly into Syria, where we've already destroyed the radar and missile launchers. Then we go into Iraq. Then we attack Iran. So if Israel's attacking Lebanon, Iraq, Yemen, and Iran, and America's also attacking Yemen and Iran in the same day, what a day that's going to be. Do you think gold right away might hit 5,000 on a day like that? Oh, I think they would. It would. I don't have much doubt about it. Um, so Trump could hit Venezuela and Iran and Yemen in one day. And then Israel would be hitting Gaza, Lebanon, Iran, Iraq, and Yemen in one day. That would be quite a day for oil and gold and silver. Well, guys, I got a couple of more things, but nothing that revolutionary. Um, According to the organizers, know that we covered the new photo, the 9-boat flotilla coming. Uh, Trump is considering using the Emergency Powers Act to deploy federal troops to Portland and Chicago. This is not as scary as they're making it out to be, but it can increase and expand his powers. It's not exactly martial law. It's like doing away with posse comitatus or something. And he had a federal court tell him he couldn't bring the troops to either Chicago or Portland or one of the cities, and he did it anyway against the orders of the judge. So that's your ruler against ruler. They're fighting. I don't know what they're going to do about it. Um, I have no idea. So Trump's not listening to the judges tell him he can't bring the soldiers, the National Guard, into these places. This Emergency Powers Act, the Insurrection Act, has been used by presidents in the past. It's the Insurrection Act. Eisenhower used it. It was used in the 90s. It's on the extreme side, but it's not completely out in left field. Um, Leaked Russian military documents obtained by Ukraine show Russian total casualties to be 280,000 since January. That's just, like 9 months basically. With 150,000 wounded and 75,000 dead. So things must be pretty dismal and dark in Russia these days with all that death. German economy minister says Berlin must become a leader in the drone industry to support Ukraine. Now, what I think you might see is, picture this: Porsche, Mercedes-Benz, BMW drones. What would you rather have, a Russian drone, a Chinese drone, an Iranian drone, or a Porsche or Mercedes-Benz or BMW drone? They'll take drones to a new level. And it might not be Porsche and Mercedes doing it, it will be the German engineering, and it's top notch. So that's going to be drones like we ain't never seen drones before. Now we're seeing pictures of robots. I think this is an Elon Musk robot, and some guy is trying to teach the robot kung fu, and the robot's doing kung fu moves, but the speed of the robot, instead of being fast, which would be like that, the speed of the robot is more like, you just swat it away. And it doesn't have any power. It's not snapping. It's going like this. It's junk. It would be, anybody could get out of its way or defeat it. It's silly. And the drone robot has cables in it, I think, to bring it power or something at the same time. They're far away. Now, Netanyahu is telling the world, and does Netanyahu have this information for real? I think so. Netanyahu is saying that Iran is in the process of developing long-range missiles with an 8,000 kilometer range. That's 4,800 miles, roughly. And that is going to scare the daylights out of everybody in Europe, and I believe it could hit America. Now, does this thing have accuracy? In other words, they could shoot it at New Jersey and hit Virginia or something like that. I have no idea. but they don't have it. They're trying to get it. They're working on it. Italy's prime minister says that they're filing courts in the cases in the International Criminal Court against her for allegedly being complicit in the Gaza genocide because she's stopping demonstrations against Israel. That, you see how they're trying to win? Let's talk about the rise in anti-Semitism. The global surge in reported anti-Semitism incidents worldwide rose 340% from 2022 to pre-October 7th, which was 2023. Oh, I think it might have gone to 2024 also. With a near doubling from 2023 to 2024. So it got even worse. CAM, that's a agency that collects anti-Semitic data of incidents, documented 6,326 incidents in 2024, a 1,007.7 increase, a 107% increase from the previous year. When the incidents had already advanced 58% from the year before. So it's soaring. It's soaring. In many Jewish diaspora countries, total incidents across the 7 countries with the large amount of Jews, it jumped 121% from 2021 to 2023. See, there's no statistics really for 2025 yet. The year's not over. We're just now starting the 4th quarter. But through August 31, 2025, the CAMS organization tracked 4,574 incidents worldwide, a 10.2 increase from the 4,150 incidents in the same period in 2024. So you can see things are getting bad, and that's a sign of the times. God says, I'm for you, not against you. Return to me and I'll return to you. And Elijah is preparing the way. So when Elijah starts working with the Levites in Malachi 3, and the temple is there, which comes down from heaven, so there's no building. It'll also be on Mount Zion. The mountain will be restored by God. Then you read Ezekiel 37, the last 3 verses, if you want to understand that. Ezekiel 37, the last 3 verses. And what that will do is get us to get the blessings of the law, because they're going to make the offerings acceptable unto the law. And then when we have the blessings of the Lord, then the 2 witnesses burn the enemies up that are laying siege to us, which is not an invasion. I've covered that so many times. So still, Witkoff and Kushner have not spoken to the Hamas, and I don't know if they ever will. I think Trump may just blow it. He'll want Witkoff and Kushner to talk to them, and then they'll threaten them. They'll say, you know that the Trump is backing Netanyahu and giving Netanyahu anything he needs to persecute the war severely against you if you don't give the hostages back. And that's threatening them, and then they'll scream and yell, and is it possible they would take a punch at Witkoff or checking the thing? Would they take a punch at them? Nah, I don't think so. Oh, there's also a guy named Ron Dermer going to Gaza with Hamas, in Egypt, and Witkoff and Jared Kushner. So the three of them are going to go talk to Hamas. It's not going to do any good. I'll be right back. Give a quick break. It won't do any good. Forget about it. I think Trump's going to play the I hope game with Hamas until tomorrow. Maybe that's it. Maybe the day after Friday. For a fact, as soon as Norway Nobel Prize people announce who they're giving the Nobel Peace Prize to, which is not going to be Trump, it's going to explode. And the anti-Israel sentiment is going to double or triple or quadruple. Because the people in Hamas are going to be dying in wholesale quantities. And it's going to get worse for Israel. Um, so we're going to be on the way towards Zechariah 12, a lot closer when this Gaza thing goes. And then we're going to have the Iran thing and the Yemen thing. And Russia's going to go. I don't know what Russia's going to do. Putin can't take out NATO. It's impossible. He can't even handle Ukraine. How's he going to handle Ukraine plus NATO? Never. I don't know. The only way that Iran and Russia get out of this mess they're in is if Belarus joins in, which they will, and China and North Korea join in. Now, it's rumored that Cuba sent 5,000 soldiers to Russia to help in Ukraine, but Reuters said that's true, but we haven't gotten it confirmed. Now, Israel doesn't get very involved in Ukraine at all. I don't have great intel on Ukraine. I don't try to get any. It's not going to trigger end times events. What happens in Israel will definitely, and when the daughter of Babylon goes to America, that's going to definitely trigger it. We should change the John Lennon song Imagine around. How about Imagine there's no Satan, it's easy if you try. Of course, he's in the pit. Soon, huh? Soon. Not that soon, but soon enough. All right. You guys are my people. I don't really have friends here. I have friends, but they don't follow the generally they don't go to the congregations, and of course they don't go to the churches, but they don't have the true gospel either. Some have more than others, but some are waiting for the tribulation, and I try to reason with them, but they don't run around in sin or anything like that. So, some ignore Shabbat. They're all different flavors. I don't really have any real friends. I have secular friends that maybe are closer with than, but not really. I don't really have a lot of friends here. I don't think my wife does either, per se. So, you guys are my people. And, what we need to do is we need to pray that you guys get to Israel. So it appears rather obvious to me this whole thing about us being attacked was really, if it was an attack, somebody was pinching the bandwidth on my local internet. But I managed to overcome. So I'll get that fixed. I'm only getting 1 or 2 bars out of 5. That's where it was coming from. And then when I was bringing the phone closer to me and it wouldn't happen, it's because the door is behind me. I was bringing the phone closer to the door and we'd pick up a better signal. So I think the Lord showed me that today, so I realized where it was really coming from. YouTube is starting dubbing where they're going to let people take a video and put it in their own language, and they're probably going to offer 100 languages, or at least 20 or 30, and probably 100, and it'll be done with AI. So I don't know how effective the translation is going to be, but I often felt bad over the years that I could never get enough money to hire people to translate into other languages and open up, on the different channel in different languages. Um, it would have been nice if I was able to. Well, I don't know. I don't think I was ever really led of the Lord to do that. I don't think He ever really wanted me to do it. But let's pray. So, my Heavenly Father Jehovah, I pray for all the people that follow me that are true believers with the true gospel and walking in it, that they get over to Israel soon. And that we start working with the locals here, the Israelites, boots on the ground. And we have a place to bring new believers and fellowship with them and so forth. Now, this is, of course, I know a little tricky because of the language barrier right now. Not everybody is speaking Hebrew, my Heavenly Father, so that could be a problem. And Hebrew is a slow process to learn. It takes months. But you're God, and you could do anything, and your hand is not so short that it can't deliver or heal. So I submit this to you, that you bring some of us, at least, if not all of us, here comfortably, and we can work together, and we could protect new believers with spiritual warfare and prayer and comfort and fellowship. I pray you bring the right people at the right time. Um, and I think we're at that point. And I submit this prayer to you, my Heavenly Father, B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach, and you all can agree. If you want, and you're a true believer, agree. Let's keep it going. He could do anything. Yes, there's a language barrier. He just quickened that to me just now, a few seconds ago. Yeah, they're going to come here and they're not going to be able to talk to the Israelis. I know that. Okay? Some Israelis, they'll have communication with English, but yeah, that's a problem. I don't know how to deal with that. Maybe that's the obstacle. You got me on that one, huh? But it's not a problem for Jehovah. He can do whatever he wants. Now, at redemption, we'll all be speaking Hebrew, the old Hebrew, not the modern Ben Yehuda Hebrew, the old Hebrew, Old Testament day Hebrew. So that solves the problem then, but maybe that's why we're not doing it. I don't know. This is where he accepts you, though, in Israel. So, guys, that language barrier is a real barrier, but we'll have to see what Jehovah has for that. There's no problem with praying and asking, is there? No. Okay, my Heavenly Father Jehovah, I pray for all the true believers that have the true gospel and their household and their kids and their families. And also for me and my wife, that we be happy, healthy, and whole, and safe and secure, and our animals and pets be happy, healthy, whole, and safe and secure. And we have strength, stamina, and endurance, and your healing and recuperative power flow through us, that we don't get sick, ill, or hurt. I pray that our angels would stay on top of us and protect us from any problems or difficulties. Um, I pray you lift from us any of the problems or difficulties that are placed on us by false believers, by Satan bots, and by the demons themselves, be they through governments or businesses or corporations or educational institutions or false religions, or just coming from people at work, neighbors, landlords, anybody. I just pray that all these problems be lifted off us. I pray that we're able to make adequate money to have excess, and we're able to get clients, customers, good jobs, If we need medical care, we get good medical care and good coverage. If we need disability or social assistance, we get that. It could be disability, it could be social security, it could be food stamps, it could be medical coverage, it could be who knows what, dental coverage, whatever. And I pray that we stay strong in you and in the Word, and we don't get despondent or depressed or bummed out because we think things are taking too long. Your timing is perfect, ours is not. We don't understand, you do. So help us, pour your Spirit out on us and give us patience. Give us your shalom peace. Give us your joy, your rest, your calm, the gifts of the Spirit, and signs and wonders. And we thank you for all you've done. We thank you for the things you've done that we don't even know about, that we haven't even figured out yet. And because there's a lot of things you've done for us that we haven't figured out yet. And we I submit this prayer to you, my Heavenly Father, B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach, and you true believers can agree. And pray for the peace of Jerusalem, pray for better videos, and pray for our finances, and pray for the, pray for the redemption. And I send my shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach. And I'm out. Okay, guys, I hope you got something out of this. And my email address is at the bottom of the description box. It's israelgiving with the number 7 at gmail.com. I mean, you could certainly write me. So it appears this whole thing was a bandwidth problem, which I'll go to work on and we'll resolve that. I'm out. Thank you.